What is up, guys? I'm Moody with Moody Made, and yes, this is my first attempt at making a YouTube video, so just bear with me. We're gonna get through it. While on the COVID-19 lockdown, I finally decided to knock out some of my honeydews and at the same time make the wife happy. She's been asking for the bed for months now. The plans actually come from Shanty de Chic, and I hope I'm saying that right, but I'll post a link in the description below to their site and to the plans. So go print it out and follow along. Also, guys, if you will consider supporting the channel, hitting that subscribe button, smashing that like button, and leave me a comment down below to tell me how I did and some things I can improve on. Thanks again, guys. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, keep God first. Thank you. As any project starts off, we headed to the big box stores. We went to McCoy's and my local Lowe's just to get the best prices, and that is mainly because I'm just cheap. The project called for a good bit of lumber. The build isn't hard by any means, but it does require a bunch of lumber and it is very time consuming. If you're following along with the plans, which are in the description below, the first step is to actually build the headboard assembly. I went ahead and built the headboard first just so I can custom fit the headboard assembly to that. And here you can see your pocket hole layout, and I'll put a picture from the plans themselves on the screen for you there. And that's just so you can make sure that you're facing all your pocket holes into the right direction, because that's a step that you do not want to mess up, because there are over 200 different pocket holes in this project altogether. And having the Craig Foreman here does make the process go a whole lot faster. Some people say having one actually is cheating, and if that's the case, then well, I'm a cheater. Now it's time to assemble the headboard by attaching each plank with wood glue and 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws. What I did was 3 boards or 3 planks at a time. Simply just add the glue, clamp them together, and screw them together. I did want to point out that the plans called for the headboard and the baseboard to be 3 inches wider, and that's for your comforter to be able to tuck in beside your bed rails. Talked to the wife, she didn't want that, so I cut off 3 inches on the headboard and the footboard. Okay, here I'm attaching the 1x6 boards to the 2x6 boards. And in order to give it that dimensional look on the front, the 1x6 boards have to sit flush with the back of the 2x6 boards. And an easy way to do that is just use the 1x6 boards as spacers. It makes it even on the back of the 2x6s. The plan calls for 4x4 posts on all 4 corners, but my Lowe's did not have untreated 4x4 posts. So what I'm doing here is taking 2 2x4s, cutting them down, glue them, and screw them together. And then at a later step, I'll show y'all exactly what I did to make it look just like a 4x4 post. Now that you got your final dimension of your headboard, you can begin assembling the back support. On this, the support rails need to be inset 1 1/2 inches from the front of the legs. So an easier way to do that is to take 2 1x6 boards, which are 3/4 inch thick apiece, and 3/4 plus 3/4 is 1 1/2 inches. You just glue and use 1 1/2 inch pocket hole screws at all joints. Alright, now it's time to attach the headboard to the base that you just completed. I simply use 1.5 inch pocket hole screws by pulling the whole assembly to the edge of the table and getting up under it. As you can see, it's not very easy for a big guy to do, but it would help if I had a bigger shop. Once I filled all the 1.5 inch pocket hole screws, I did come back and in the support rails on the back I screwed in several 2.5 inch screws to help support it. Now it's time to add the trim to the front. Simply just measure and cut and use brad nails and glue and refer to the plans for the placements. Here I'm completing my 4x4 post by taking a 1x4, ripping it down to 3 inches and gluing and nailing it on the front of the headboard and the footboard. This way it looks like one big 4x4 post. Next, I use the bandsaw to cut out the decorative pieces that will go on the ends of the headboard and the footboard. Simply get one that you really like and use it as a template to make the next one. Using the clamps here as a second pair of hands, we glued, pre-drilled and countersunk 2.5 inch screws on each side of the headboard on the decorative pieces, and then a later step we'll come back with wood filler and fill those holes. Next, we added the top trim cap and the horizontal beam going across the front. We simply used wood glue and 2.5 inch wood screws. After the horizontal beam was glued and nailed, the wife decided that she did not want that going across there, so we did take it off. Happy wife, happy life, right? Now we're going to repeat the process just on a smaller scale. Here we're cutting the planks down for the footboard. And again, we're laying out the spots for the pocket holes on the back side of the boards. Be sure you're marking the back and not the front. Once the footboard is complete, you can build the base for it to size. And you can see right there the 2x4s that have been glued and nailed together or screwed together. I will come back and put another 1x4 in front of that so it'll look like a full 4x4. And don't forget, the rail should be inset 1.5 inches on the pocket hole side. And I simply, again, just like the headboard, put 2 3.25 inch pieces on there for spacers. Made it super simple. Attaching the footboard to the base is a lot easier than the headboard was. Just use the pocket holes that you drilled in the previous steps and 2.5 inch screws through from the back. Time to add the final trim pieces. Just be sure to measure and then cut You can go by the plans, but sometimes we all know how you can get off with your measurement. So just measure, then cut, and the next will be adding the top trim piece. Then it was time to make the side rails. Now I've got to use my Craig track saw for the first time. And having any track saw during this operation is super easy, especially if you have a small shop like mine that you can't handle the 4x8 sheets of plywood. So just had to make 2 cuts, but still way easier. I come up with a creative way to get the pocket holes in the ends of both side rails, but once everything was set up, everything went super smooth. Had to get the K5 to get the pocket holes going down the side of the rails. Now you just add your trim to both rails. Just take your time, measure, and then cut. Then you use wood glue and brad nails to get everything locked in place. And then we're going to be adding the top trim piece by flipping the rail over and adding it with the pocket hole screws that you drilled in the previous steps. Here I'm adding the slat rail on both side rails, and the wife wanted a tall bed, so depending on where you put this side rail is going to be how tall your mattress are. So what we did was we got the measurements of our mattress and then got it as close as we could to or what we thought we could as when how high the wife wanted it. But here in the later step you'll see that we made a mistake. Once we installed the bed and everything, she wanted the bed a little lower, so then I had to remove this slat cap, and then when I screwed it back in, this happened. So just remember, when you're screwing in the slat rail, make sure that you're going to be going through the front trim pieces so you don't make the same mistake I did. Then all that's left to do is find some cheap labor hands and get to staining. This was by far the most time consuming because it is a big project and it is a lot of staining, but it's not hard. Just take your time, follow the plans, and I'll have them linked in the description below so you can print them out and follow along. But I thank you guys for watching. Let me know how I did in the comments. If you will, please like and consider subbing. Thank you, and God bless.